This month's podcasts are sponsored by Aubergine Legal. Do you sometimes worry that your business isn't meeting all its legal compliance requirements and wonder if you're ticking all the legal boxes? Are you losing sleep worrying about a piece of legislation that you may or may not be complying with? Perhaps you need some help with your client contracts or your data protection compliance. Or maybe you're worried that your website doesn't have the right documents or legal notices in the right place. Perhaps you have a brand that you want to protect with a trademark. How about if you could outsource it all and eliminate all of your worries? If so, then get in touch with Aubergine Legal, a friendly commercial legal consultancy offering practical and clear commercial legal advice without the overwhelming legal jargon, taking the worry away and helping you to protect your business and minimise your risks. Aubergine offers a free 30-minute consultation if you have any questions or want to find out if they can help, and you can access this link and book your free 30-minute call via the link in the show notes. Welcome to the Bring Your Product Idea to Life podcast. This is the podcast for you if you're getting started selling products or if you'd like to create your own product to sell. I'm Vicky Weinberg, a product creation coach and Amazon expert. Every week I share friendly, practical advice as well as inspirational stories from small businesses. Let's get started.
Today I'm talking to Liz Cooke from Chester Cooke. Liz designs and makes country living products for the home, garden, horse and dog. It was really great speaking to Liz today. She explained how she got into starting her business and designing wooden products, which her husband then makes and they sell. She spoke a lot about the journey into that business, how it all came about, how the business runs now. And she had lots and lots to speak about. We also spoke about some of her PR and award successes that she's had over the past few years. It's still a relatively young business, 5 years now, and Liz has definitely done a lot in that time, and she has some really great advice to share with you. So I would love now to introduce you to Liz.
So hi Liz, thank you so much for being here.
Hi there, Vicky.
So can we start with you please giving an introduction to yourself, your business and what you sell?
Yes, my name's Liz Cooke and I am the founder of Chester Cooke. My business, which I founded I launched it in 2018, and I sell country living products. So it's items for the home, garden, horses and dogs.
Amazing, thank you. And can you tell us when and how Chester Cooke started? So you mentioned it was 5 years ago now.
Yes, it's our 5-year birthday this month, actually, in May. Oh. Yes. So it all started, so back in 2015, I had to give up my job in finance. My husband has got his own pattern making business, which is like for the engineering industry, but he works in wood for making molds and things. And he got quite poorly with a kidney disease and had to go on dialysis. So I had to give up my job in finance to run the business while he was quite ill. Then roll on 2.5 years, he got a transplant, and so he was able to come back to work, and I needed to find something else to do, but I couldn't go back full time because life was still pretty precarious, really. And I thought about designing products that we could then make in our workshop. And so that's what I did. I started designing products, and took me roughly a year to get that going, and a whole host of things to do, protection, websites, looking at pricing, all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, and then we launched in 2018.
Amazing. Well, thank you for sharing that. And I'm glad your husband's doing better now.
Yes.
And you will go into details around lots of these things. But one question I have is, Liz, so did you already know how to work with wood? Because all your products are obviously all handmade.
Yes.
And they're all so for anyone who hasn't seen your website, your products are all handmade and made from wood. So yeah, what was your background with woodworking?
So to be honest, that's all my husband. And obviously he's a very skilled craftsman with wood. He's got all the equipment, tools, know how to do everything. However, in those 2.5 years when I was running the business, I then understood the capabilities that we had within our workshop. And I don't know, I seem to have a flair for being able to practically think about how things would go together and understanding the strength needed of certain products, and therefore that will impact how you actually construct it and just things like that. So it was a real design journey. So
Oh wow. And so your husband's making the products, is that right?
That's correct, yes.
And are you working on the design side alongside him?
Oh yeah, I do all the design, and then so I give him all measurements and ways to make it. He'll go away and make it, and then we'll test them and trial them and make tweaks, and it's constant prototypes. When I come up with a product, yeah.
But that's amazing though, thinking you were sort of saying, however many years ago it is now, you were working in finance, and to go from your finance job to finding out you've got this skill that perhaps you didn't know you had. I think that's incredible.
Yeah, it was really. I just seemed to, I don't know, get it. So, and it's really good. I really love it. Love the whole design process. It's really good.
So when you first started with that, was it always the intention that it was going to be a business? Was that from day one? Was it, I'm going to see if I can sell these products and make some money, or did it start off as more of a hobby or something for fun?
No, it probably was, let's see whether we can produce some products and build this. But I suppose at the start, I never thought I would get it to the stage I've got it to now, and have the drive that I'm now having and the passion to build it, really. I don't know really what I was kind of hoping it to be. Maybe it was just because when you start something new, you're just so just don't know whether it's going to work or not, that you don't, I don't know, plan that big, or because we never knew whether it would be able to support me going forward, or whether I'd have to actually then go and get a different full-time job or whatever. But so the intention was to hopefully sell and do that, but it's grown well.
That's really good to hear. And I know what you mean when you first set up, especially if it's all new and you're not really sure, it can be hard to dream big in a way, can't it? And see sort of a year, 2 years, 3 years down the road, because you almost don't want to set yourself up for disappointment.
Yes.
I think it depends what kind of character you are. I think there are definitely people who can do that. But myself, I definitely am on the side of, well, let's see how this goes.
Yes, definitely. I think perhaps as well, I was so wrapped up in designing and setting it up and building it that I never really stepped back and thought, how far do I want this to go? We were in a very fortunate position that a lot of it could be supported through our current business. So I wasn't having to plough lots and lots of money into it and make a massive investment and risk. So, that was, a great thing for us. And it's flourished. I'm really, really pleased how it's going.
That's really good. Where and how did you sell your first products? But which were your first products? Can you remember which?
Yes, my first product was a boot jack. So my husband made me the boot jack many years ago. So we're both country people. We've had dogs ever since we've been together, and I've had horses since I was about 5. So I'm always using wellies and a boot jack to pull my welly boots off with. So it started with the boot jack he made me many years ago, and I thought I could make this look a lot better, and as a gift. I've also adapted it that children can use it, could be hung up and used like as a sign. I just like to make my products a bit unique. So yeah, it was when I was walking Chester, our Jack Russell, that it made me think about the boot jack and about, do you know what, I could make those. That's what it started with, really.
Amazing. Oh, thank you for sharing that. And that's a nice, I guess that's a nice product to start with as well, because they're not too big or complex. There aren't too many pieces to them.
No, that's it.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. And so where were you selling your products first of all?
So I did set up on Etsy to start with. And I did set up my own website in 2018. So it all launched May 2018. So Etsy was kind of my first platform that I went for along with my website. So yeah, but it was having the know-how back then to actually market my own website. I wasn't even on social media back then, so it was a massive learning curve for me.
Yeah, everything's a learning curve, isn't it, when you sort of get started? And that's something I wanted to talk about actually, because I'm trying to think how to phrase the question, because I guess you had so much to do in terms of going from, okay, this is an idea and we'd like to sell these, to actually setting up as a business. What were some of the things that stand out to you as being like maybe real challenges or things that you learned from?
Yes. So one thing that was kind of massive and complicated for me was IP, intellectual property protection. Because I spent so long designing and trialing products and getting the right design, it's really important that you protect that, and that's quite a minefield to actually understand the whole protection process. So that was just one part, building a website and understanding that. I'm not an IT person at all. Pricing structures, understanding marketing, setting up on social media. Gosh, many challenges that I faced. So yeah, but I feel like I've come a long way.
Yeah, you definitely have. And were there any, apart from the obviously you found out you had a flair for designing, was there anything else, like maybe from your business background, that you were like, oh, actually it's really good, I already know how to do this? I mean, I'm guessing, I could be wrong, but I'm guessing the financial side probably came fairly easy.
Yeah, it was a different type of, when you say finance, it was understanding like how to come up with your retail price, and which is completely different to what I was doing. So, and building in trade prices. I don't actually sell to the trade really anymore, but numbers come to me quite easily, but it was totally different, really, understanding that.
Yeah, pricing can be really tricky, especially when it's a product that's it's unique, it's hand designed, it's handmade.
Yes.
How did you work out how to price your products, out of interest?
Well, obviously you have to look at your market that you're in, and you've got to it's got to be sellable. You can't have it at an unrealistic price. And actually some items that I've designed I just can't even kind of contemplate putting them, making them, because we can't make them for a price that we would need to sell them at. Unfortunately, it's not like you're going to China and buying them cheap. Materials expensive, labor's expensive. It's just when you have a handmade quality product, they're expensive. So we are at the higher end of the market, definitely. And it's obviously getting a base price for all of your materials. You need to obviously factor in your profit and the VAT, and to work out what you need to be selling it at. And obviously the platforms that you use will have different fees, so you've got to factor all of that in as well.
There's a lot to consider. And I really liked what you said about how, well, when I say really liked, I'm sad that it's happened, that, you mentioned that you've got products that you can't sell because you just couldn't sell them for the price you'd need to.
Yeah, I wouldn't even attempt to, just because I just know it wouldn't even get there, really. Yeah.
And that's when I say I like it, what I mean is I really like that advice, because it's a shame that you're not able to, but I think it's really smart and to make that, because I imagine that's not an easy decision to make, because obviously you've put so much care into creating something.
Yeah.
But it's not very often that I speak to someone who says, and I decided not to sell it. That doesn't happen very often. So I actually think that's really useful for us to hear, that you made the decision that actually this isn't viable.
Yes, definitely. During the design process, I come across that quite a bit, really. Whether it be the materials, because sometimes I've designed some really beautiful items, and I just think, I'd love to sell this. But actually, not only the materials it costs to make it, but then the time, because they're so, fiddly to put together, or just complicated, just doesn't make it viable, and you just make no profit, and there's just no point, is there? It's not worth doing it. But
absolutely not.
Yeah.
And are you, out of interest, making all of your products to order as well?
A lot of my products are personalised. So I am really passionate that my items give a real emotional connection. And I just love people when they order personalised items, that I just think, it's just so lovely having a piece in your home that either has got a phrase on it, or whether it's the name of the house or the name of the family. And it makes it feels like, for me, that item then belongs to that home. It's not just a standard piece. So yes, we then obviously make them to order. And, as well, you can't build up a lot of standardized stock because you just don't have the room to store it all. So we do, produce a lot to order.
That's what I wondered, because I also thought, from a time perspective, given that your pieces all take time to make, I guess you also can't spend the time on creating things to then sell. It makes much more sense to have sold it and then make it.
Yes. I mean, so for instance, my welly racks and seed boxes, we do a standardized version, which we will hold a bit of stock on so that we can then ship them faster. But I would say pretty all of my pieces can be personalized, and then they'll just take a bit longer.
Yeah. But I think, though, to have personalised things, as you said, is so lovely. I think people don't mind waiting, do they? Because it's, it's special, like you say, to having something personalised.
Definitely, yes. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the last few years, because you should say 5 years, which is amazing. Happy birthday. And I've seen that over that time you've had a lot of publicity. You've won quite a lot of awards. Can we talk a little bit about that, please? Do you want to share with us some of what's gone on?
Gosh, it's been quite a journey, really. So, back in the earlier days, I was really chuffed. I mean, this was quite some time ago. I got it was coming up to Christmas, and Country Living, massive magazine, put us in their gift section for our, I think that was our welly boot rack and boot jack. So that was really nice PR for us. We have, what else have we done? Really, really excitingly, ITV got in touch with me and asked us to make them a welly rack for their show, Love Your Weekend. So I created a welly rack, kind of play on words with that. I think it was Love Your Wellies, I think it was. So they did a little section putting up my welly rack, and they also had a boot jack on there. So that was really exciting. Only a tiny little slot, but it was very exciting having my products on the telly. So that was with Alan Titchmarsh was hosting that. So that was that was really fun. So he's also got one of my seed boxes, so which he sent me a lovely note. So to thank me for that. What else have I done? So Forbes contacted me and put me in their Mother's Day gardener's gift guide. So that was great. So I do ship to America, Canada, Australia. So yeah, it was great to go into Forbes. So that was last year. What else have we done? My seed box won an award for a magazine. Then I've been in Horse and Hound for my bridal racks. They featured us in there. And just in March, which I'm very, very proud to say, we won Micro Business of the Year for East of England. So there was about 3,000 entries for this. Is under the FSB, Federation of Small Businesses. So that was massive, and it was just an amazing event. And so we were absolutely thrilled about that.
Oh, well done. That's amazing.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, that's really, really good. And what I'd be interested to know is, so are these, it sounds like a lot of the time people are contacting you about these opportunities, because I was going to ask you how these came about, but it sounds like you were being approached.
Yeah, I do. I do get approached about lots of things. Things just happen and appear. It's great. I love it. So
that's amazing.
It just turns up out the blue. Sometimes I do go out there and try and do a whole little PR thing. But to be honest, I'm so busy that doesn't happen very often at all. But just to try a different marketing technique.
Do you have any idea how and where people are finding you?
I get a lot of my sales through Etsy. So, obviously that's when people are searching for a particular item. They're searching for a seed box and they find me on Etsy. But Google, on the website, through social media. I'm just dabbling a little bit with Pinterest. So that sometimes brings some traffic. So, yeah.
It sounds like with the PR opportunities, though, sounds like you're probably doing a really great job with your SEO, because I'm assuming that they're searching for, I don't know, home and garden gift or whatever it is, PRs are looking for, and they're finding you. So they're finding you. That's amazing.
Yeah, I do try on SEO with, my keywords and, building my website. To be honest, that's a whole other story of learning, really, and blogging.
Like you say, there is always a lot to learn. Which actually leads me on to, are there any So is there any advice you would give to anyone sort of in the early stages of their business in terms of, because it can feel, can't it, really overwhelming when you think of all the things you've got to suddenly do? Is there anything you'd want people to think about?
Yes, definitely. So yeah, leading on from that point actually in SEO. So it was a few years ago now, I did a course, Blogging for Gold, with a lady called Maddie Shine. You find her on Instagram under Maddie Shine. And that opened a whole new world to me of SEO, because I didn't even know what it was, let alone how you do it. So that was a brilliant course. I learned so much, and it enabled me to put things into place and to work on my website, but also to start blogging, and blogging in a way that would do its job really. I do it as often as I can, try and do it at least once a month, if not more. So at the moment I'm doing gardening blogs, but then trying to get in other products in there as well. But what led on from that course was I joined a training mentoring support group called Visible Vibes, again Maddie Shine, and I would recommend anyone to do this sort of thing if they're setting up their own business like this. It has just got a whole host of training resources of absolutely anything you can think about setting up your business. So SEO, PR, IT stuff, like reviews, just a whole wealth of information. And the thing is, when you're setting up a business, this sounds a bit weird, but you don't know what you don't know.
Absolutely.
So you're not actually looking for that information, are you? So Maddie does training sessions once a week, which you can join on Zoom, and I have just learned so much from it. And not only the training aspect, but the support, because there's a support group with it as well. And if you're ever stuck on something, there's always a group of really lovely people to help you out, and Maddie giving you advice. So that's one thing I would definitely recommend, because if I had known this right from the word go, I think I would have done so much more so much earlier.
Well, that's brilliant. And yeah, Maddie's been on the podcast as well, actually. She is brilliant, and she's so knowledgeable. But I have to say as well that it sounds to me though, what's really also helped is that because you have actually done things, because it's very easy to go to a training course, or I do it quite often. I sign up for a workshop on something and I go along and I take notes, but then it's actually implementing it, which is going to make the difference. So yeah, I think there's that as well. It sounds like you've been very diligent at learning things and then applying what you've learned.
Yeah, definitely.
And just going ahead and doing. I mean, I'm definitely getting that sense from you that you're just doing it. You're not just thinking about it or talking about it. Yeah, that's definitely.
I'm quite tenacious. Like, I won't give up if things aren't going right. I'm a bit like, right, I look for another way. And you work through problems, and to solve them, you've got to just keep pushing on, really, because things don't always go right. And I've had really, challenging times, but you just find ways around things. So, yeah.
Well, I think that's great advice, and thank you, because I think that's whether you meant to give us that or not. I think that that's definitely something we can take from this, is that you have to sort of put your head down and do it. Yeah, you can listen to all the podcasts and read the blogs and go to the trainings, but actually doing it is what makes a difference.
Yeah, definitely. I suppose one other thing as well is that you've got to be very careful that it doesn't overtake your life, because When you run your own business, you can become very absorbed in it, and just that's all that runs through your head is doing this, doing that. And I think you try your very best to get a balance between your family life, your business life, chill time, so you don't burn out, basically.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, that's great advice, especially, so many of us are working from our homes. It can be really hard to have that distinction between working and not working.
Yes. Yeah, very much. Yeah. But you've got to enjoy it as well. And I really do. So it's nice.
Yeah, no, that's good. I'm definitely getting that from you. So thank you so much for everything you shared, Liz. I've got one final question, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So what would your number one piece of advice be for other product creators?
I suppose it is really just that training. If I'd have had that from the word go, I would have got so much further, so much quicker. So get out there and find someone that can help you through the process of setting up your business. Just every step of the way, if you have somewhere that you can go to get help and advice and support, I think that's definitely the one thing I'd say to do. Whether it be perhaps they want to sell on Etsy, maybe they don't want to create their own website and they're perhaps not interested in IP or those aspects. But if it's just perhaps Etsy, then go and get Etsy training. I think because you do see a lot of people on Etsy that set up an Etsy shop and, it doesn't appear to be working for them. But if they actually knew how to get it to work for them, there's no reason why it can't. So I think it's getting help and support is key, really. Yeah.
I think that's great advice. Thank you. I totally agree. I mean, I remember when I first started my first business, I spent so long figuring out, building my own website and, lots of various things. But I spent far too long on things. I'd get so hung up. Whereas actually now, and definitely with hindsight, I would have just found someone to pay to do it for me. And I know that that's an investment and I know that's not always possible. However, when you think of the time that you can spend, I remember spending hours, trying to get like a certain aspect of my checkout to work or something. Whereas really, I probably could have paid someone a small amount and it would have been done in an hour or whatever. And
definitely.
It's a real false economy, isn't it? Thinking
yes, definitely. You've got
saving
to
money,
really,
but you're spending time.
Yeah, you've got to understand how your time is best spent, really, and what adds the most value to the business. Like you said, where do you get your sales from? So, for instance, if I don't know, Pinterest really works for you, obviously spending more time on that. But, you don't have to do everything because there's a massive amount of things you can do, social media, Pinterest, blogging, and you don't have to do it all. But it is actually finding the things that work for you, what you're good at, and I suppose really sticking to it and going for it.
That makes sense. Thank you, Liz.
You're very welcome.
And thank you so much for everything you shared today. So we're going to link to your website and your social media in the show notes. Everyone can go and have a look at your products. And thank you again.
Thanks ever so much, Vicky.
Thank you so much for listening right to the end of this episode. Do remember that you can get the full back catalogue and lots of free resources on my website, vickyweinberg.com. Please do remember to rate and review this episode if you've enjoyed it, and also share it with a friend who you think might find it useful. Thank you again and see you next week. If you've been inspired to start a podcast in 2024, I really recommend my podcast host, Captivate. Captivate were my top pick when I started podcasting 4 years ago because of how easy it was for a complete novice like me to get started. I've stuck with them for the last 4 years because Captivate is still really simple to use. They keep adding great new features like the ability to share ads like these, and they've just been really reliable. So when you're ready to start your own podcast, you can use the link in the show notes and get a free 7-day trial with Captivate.